Hi, welcome to the Everson Museum of Art. We're glad that you chose to join us today. This audio tour was created in celebration of the building's 50th anniversary. It highlights some of the unique architectural features that characterize the building, describes a bit of its history, and encourages close looking.
In 1961, Chinese-American architect I.O. Ming Pei, known as I.M. Pei, was selected to design the Everson Museum of Art. Pei is an internationally renowned architect who studied both engineering and architecture. He is considered one of the most prolific architects of his generation. Though based in New York City, he was no stranger to Syracuse. At the same time he was working on the Everson, he was also designing New House 1 for the Syracuse University campus. Pei was chosen as the architect for the Everson because of his innovative use of concrete, a relatively inexpensive building material. After the Everson, Pei went on to design several other museums, including the Herbert F. Johnson Museum of Art in Ithaca, New York, and the National Gallery of Art's East Building in Washington, D.C. The Everson was Pei's first museum, and the design won an award for architectural excellence. This tour will describe many of the features that made this building so groundbreaking.
Take a look at the concrete walls of the sculpture court. When you walk inside the museum, you may have noticed the material on the building inside is the same as the material outside. The walls are made of concrete that is mixed with rose granite, so there is a hint of pink alongside the gray. The rose granite is from a quarry near Watertown, New York, so the material used to construct the museum is fairly local. If you look at one of the walls from afar, you'll notice the subtle diagonal lines run across the wall from the floor to the ceiling. These striations are accomplished through a technique known as bush hammering. Diagonal bars were laid against the concrete, and workers used a tool sort of like a jackhammer to chisel the lines into the surface of the wall.
Much like the building, the spiral staircase is really a sculpture as well. You can examine the staircase from afar, from up close, and by moving around it. The twisting spiral staircase looks different from every point of view. Like the walls, the staircase is made of concrete. However, as you approach, you might notice a linear pattern in the concrete. Feel free to touch the concrete to get a sense of the texture. Now, to form a structure like this, the concrete exists first as a liquid that's poured into a mold, taking the shape of the mold when it solidifies. In the case of the staircase, the mold was made using pieces of wood placed next to one another. The grain of the wood remains in the final structure. This was done purposefully to create an interesting play of pattern and texture. As you walk up the spiral staircase, your experience with the space changes. You can see the large canvases that hang in the sculpture court at eye level instead of above you. And you get a chance to see into the galleries and preview what's to come.
When you reach the top of the staircase, you can choose to walk into one of two galleries. The layout of the upstairs galleries is designed like a pinwheel. The sculpture court is a large central cube, and the four cube-shaped galleries extend from each side. The galleries are actually visible from the outside of the museum. Remember when you walked into the building, probably beneath what seemed like a floating cube? These large rectangular boxes that stick out from the sides of the building, giving the museum its characteristic shape, contain the upstairs galleries. The term in architecture for a form supported only at one end that often resembles an upside-down letter L is called a cantilever. Each of the upstairs galleries is connected, so no matter which way you enter, you'll begin and end with the spiral staircase.
After you make your way through the first gallery, you will come to a bridge that connects to the next gallery. These bridges provide the opportunity for you to take a visual break from looking at artwork and reconnect with the central space of the sculpture court. The sculpture court is filled with skylights that let in natural light. The color of the light and the ways it casts brightness and shadow changes with each time of day, season, and type of weather. Every time you come to visit the museum, the sculpture court will look a little different. The skylights also serve as a connection to the city outside. Instead of losing all concept of time and space while exploring the museum, you are constantly reminded of where you are and what is going on around you. At the time the Everson was built, it was meant to be part of a larger renewal plan for the city to rejuvenate the area. The museum was intended to feel like a place for the people of Syracuse, and many aspects of the building's design reflect that purpose. The style of the building is known as brutalism, and is characterized by a work-in-progress, unfinished kind of look. Though brutalism doesn't sound like a positive word, it was actually a style that was meant to seem more honest and less elitist than than earlier styles of building. Pei thought of details that also reinforced the idea of the Everson being for the public. From the use of local, affordable building materials, windows that look out into the city, and an entryway that encourages personal interaction with the building, Pei considered how the building's architecture could speak volumes about the purpose of the museum. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you have enjoyed your visit and this audio tour.